Next Legacy.
Are you searching for the perfect gift? Or do you just need a unique statement piece for yourself? Well, either way, Danaya Azure will help you out. What you need is the S4S jewelry collection by Danaya Azure for you. S4S stands for strictly for a stage. Stand out at your next photo or video shoot. Snag that magazine cover. Go from being a part-time extra to an actor or actress who stays booked. Or just be the talk of the town at every event. Danaya Design for You jewelry is handcrafted and Chicago made for men, women, and children. To start your collection, simply go to www.danayaazure.com. That's www.danayaazure.com. That's www.danayaazure.com.
Next Legacy.
Boom, let's get the recording going. Yay! The recording's going. The studio acting crazy, but y'all know we at a media school, so I have an amazing guest. It is Chanya Fox, who is in the building. She is doing so many phenomenal things. Chanya, oh my goodness. So I met this amazing queen, was it, I want to say 2 years ago? Yeah, I think it was
We met in person 2 years
ago.
ago.
We met in person. We met in person like 2 years ago. But I found her online because she went off on somebody on Facebook, and she had this amazing viral video, and I was like, "Who is this girl?" and I just kept following her videos on Facebook and on YouTube, and she's an artist first and foremost. She's an artist, an amazing vocalist, songwriter, just doing the daggone thing. But the biggest thing is she talks about Black issues, and she's very adamant because she knows what she's talking about. So she makes sure that people understand this is not my view. This is the facts. Sorry, I don't like it, but that this is the facts of what's going on right now. And so just talking to her, and then when I met her in person, it was so dope because I didn't even realize who she was because she was so quiet. And I was like, wait a second. I was like, she looks familiar, but I can't figure it out. And then I got to meet her, and she was just this most incredible person. Beautiful spirit. And I'm like, I don't care what y'all saying online. I met her in person. Y'all better quit playing with me because I've met her in person, and she's absolutely amazing. So you have been viral a couple of times, and I think the one thing I want to talk to you about is like, what have been the pluses and the minuses of that situation?
Oh my gosh. So there's a lot. It's not always what it seems to be. Should I turn this way?
A little bit, yeah.
It's like this.
Yep. So it's turning a little bit towards you. Yep. So you can tilt it.
Okay. I couldn't do this. Oh, so it goes forward. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, there's a lot of. First of all, I didn't mean to go viral.
Right.
When I was a young actress and singer and all of that, yeah, the dream was to be famous and rich and all of those aspirations. But slowly, when I started to really, truly care about my craft in a personal way and even my expression, because the videos that I do and even the politics and things like that, it's a part of artistic expression.
Right.
And community. And so I didn't want to make that something to get famous off of or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so when I made my the video that got my first 1 million views,
mm-hmm.
it was just me just bearing myself, just being myself.
Right.
And now that it's kind of transformed into something that is more popular and widely seen, and even being a YouTuber now, it takes on, it's a very precarious line. So I don't want to become a YouTuber and get, make money and get attention off of Black suffering. But at the same time, I have a perspective that I think that people tell me and that I feel needs to be heard. So at that point, it's just a very fine line of not bastardizing what's important and being able to get it out there.
Right.
So it's a very, very fine line. I don't want any, my little taste of celebrity. I don't know about all that. Because when I hear, like, me and Chris, my boyfriend Chris, we were just walking, we went to the gym. This was last week. We went to the gym. And all of a sudden, we just minding our business, talking our talk, making our little plan. And we hear Chanya Fox. And at that point, you don't know if it's to fight or to say, hey, I'm a fan. So it's kind of, I get a lot of anxiety. That's what I'm dealing with, a lot of anxiety. So it's just trying to keep to the plan, stay focused, but at the same time, not let me take over the things that I'm talking about. Because what I'm talking about is more important than me and will last longer than me as a person.
Absolutely. And I guess my biggest question is, have you always been an activist, or did it grow the older that you got and the more that you saw and you're like, wait a minute, this is not the way it's supposed to be?
I think most of us have a strong moral compass. I think most of us have this ability to discern what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
But a lot of times when we're children, it's beaten down and it's quieted, or, seen and not heard, or, you'll get in trouble for saying how you feel or what you see or what you think, or even standing up for somebody else. You take the risk of getting beat up. And so I think a lot of that is killed in us. And so I feel like I have a commonality with a lot of people, except for when I was younger, I was allowed to speak my mind. I was allowed to ask questions. I was allowed to, I had my parents had my back.
Right.
Even in school and different things like that. So if that type of person was allowed to grow in me, and I'm a Virgo, so I always think that I'm right. So there's that. But even when I was young, I remember when I became vegetarian at the age of 12. And I rallied all of my friends. I had never heard of PETA before. And then I was just on the internet, and I don't know if they still do it, but back then they would ship you free stuff.
Oh,
so they
really?
would ship you free pamphlets and stickers and different things like that. So I was raised in Harvey, Illinois.
Right.
So I took to the streets of Harvey talking about
for y'all who have not see her face when she just said that, like she's like, I was in Harvey and I told them y'all need to stop beating me.
I told them I was walking door to door passing out pamphlets and stickers. And I took my friends along with me. And we was getting laughed at. We was getting stuff, the pamphlets thrown back at us. But you couldn't tell me anything because I believed in it.
Yes.
I believed it was the right thing to do. And I wanted to help people. It wasn't out of, trying to make people vegetarian. I just wanted to help animals, and I wanted to help my people.
Yes.
And so, I was very young then. So that was just something that was it's just who I am. It's just a part of who I am.
And I think it's very interesting how you talk about the fact that you were allowed to speak your mind. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of these kids now are so stifled. They're so afraid to say anything. Like I know one thing that when I was in school, if I didn't want to do it and I had a good reason for not doing it, it wasn't getting done. Like, it wasn't like the teacher said, he just said, do this, and we're just going to do this. I'm like, I would be like, no, we're not doing this. And this is why I'm not doing this. And since you don't believe that I'm not doing this, talk to my mom. She'll go ahead and tell you why I'm not going to do this. And y'all can walk away. That happened on multiple occasions. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like my mom was a firecracker. Y'all think I'm bad. Woo, bad. Well, you think I got it from? The very first protest I had, I was 7 years old. And I started belly dancing at 6, and so my mom had a show. Oh wow! And I can tell the story now because I was announced before. I'm sure gonna tell it now. So there was a restaurant that, a lot of what people don't realize, and when it comes to belly dancing, there is even though it's an African dance, there's a lot of people that don't like us that are a part of it, especially when it comes to the clubs. So we were at an Arab club. I forgot which one it was. I think it was El Khayyam. And the club decided for whatever. Hey, actually, the club decided for whatever reason. I'm sorry, the restaurant decided that they didn't want to do the show. They canceled the show the day before the show. Now, mind you, we had people that luckily that was not the show we flew people in for. People were coming from the suburbs and that were here. So we already had dancers booked for this. All we ask these fools to do is feed the dancers. You're not paying the dancers, you're just feeding the dancers because we're giving you a show on an off night. Right. They decided to cancel. Wow. So we decided to protest outside of their venue. And the best part about it was we right next to the fire station. The fire department didn't like them either. So we were able to protest in front of the fire station. Wow. Next to the venue. The cops were coming by like, well, what do you want us to do? You know what I'm saying? We got all these beautiful women in dress to the nines, because my mom was a belly that was a wardrobe designer. Oh, so like they dressed to the nines, sitting there talking about how we don't like the venue and don't come here. Oh, wow. I'm saying that was my experience at 7. The very first song I ever wrote was about the civil rights movement. Like, I've been doing this for a minute, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, so I can definitely feel you when you say like that you were able to express yourself. These kids can't do that now. Yeah. They had these little kids so shook they don't even want to go to the washroom, and that's a whole nother conversation. How do you tell a child no to the point that that is too late? Like, how do you do that and be comfortable with that? But a lot of these parents won't say nothing, and that's the problem. Yeah. Because I'm sure you've seen the video or heard about the story about Wisconsin where they had the little slave run game, whatever. And I'm like, how did you convince the parents to allow their children to go to another state without their phones and treat their kids like slaves? I'm confused on how this occurred.
I'm not confused. I'm not confused at all. It's and one of the things that I've had to learn over the last couple of years is primarily people like to see me go off. People like to see me go off and read folks intellectually.
Right. Yes.
And one thing that I've had to learn in the last couple of years is to not be so reactionary.
Very
because
true.
Being reactionary means that you aren't in control. It means that you are reacting to somebody else's stimulus.
Yes.
And so, it's very difficult. And, I used to think that maybe cold-hearted to be so calculated, but we have to be calculated. I cannot mourn for every person. I cannot be upset at every
you have no life
within the school. Right. It's not to say that it isn't upsetting, and it's not to say that it shouldn't be mourned. Right. But there has to be some people that sit down and really think about it, and not demonize the parents. Yes. So what the task that I have is to really analyze, why did this happen, or things like that.
Exactly.
Happen. It's because people still trust the state. It's because people still trust teachers. It's because people still have this old school mentality. Even when you tell a child to be seen and not heard.
Yes.
Even though you're not saying the words in 2019, you're still that is still having trusting the teacher, believing the teacher more than your own child, is still telling them to be quiet and just let us deal with this, instead of when I had a teacher in 5th grade. Her name was Miss Malone.
The way she just said that, y'all.
Miss Malone, she was not nice. Anybody who went to Martin Luther King Elementary School in Dixmoor, Illinois, y'all knew Miss Malone, and she was not very nice. And she was very, very tough. And that wasn't necessarily the problem, but she was just downright mean. Right. And she would just say mean things. She was just super strict. We couldn't laugh. We couldn't play. And so one day, I led a revolt. I'm like, listen, so she used to make us sit down and write times, right? She used to call me. So it'd be 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. I remember one time, I think I got up to like 14 times. And that meant that I had to write 28 definitions in our book
14 times.
So it was pages after pages after page. And every time you would get in trouble. So I went and I told my dad, I'm like, listen, Pops, this is what she's doing. My dad would go up to the school. She told my parents I was problematic and all this because I was very vocal, very open, and I don't know, it upset her. And so one day she left out of the classroom.
Right.
And I led this revolt, locked the door. So we locked her out of the class.
Nice.
I went and we, oh Lord, I don't think this is illegal now, but it's been 20 years. So we went, locked her out of the door, out of the classroom. I stole back everybody's times. I stole back and I was passing them out. So she didn't know. She couldn't say
who did it,
who did what. So if we got in trouble again, we just turn it in. And then I went and changed the grades in the grade book. And then we let her back in, and she didn't know anything because we were the ones who were grading in the first place.
Right, gotcha.
But that's just to say that you don't have to accept what your teacher says simply because they are the teacher.
Yes.
And even looking over that story of what had happened so many years later, I don't regret it. If anything, I probably should have gone further.
Yes.
Suffice to say, she didn't last very long at King. So I don't know what happened to her, but I hope she became a softer, nicer person.
Yeah.
And she had this really long rat tail that was going down her back. That just bothered me. Anyway, so and that also says that my parents believed me. Yes. When I said that something was wrong, when I said that this woman was treating me wrong, my father believed me.
Yes.
And he went up to that school and then he told me afterwards, teachers would do the same thing to him.
Yeah.
And nobody believed him.
Yeah.
She accused me of plagiarism. I wrote a book when I was 10 years old. I wrote a book.
Wow.
And I showed her this book and she confiscated it and said that I stole it. She said that I stole this book.
That you wrote.
How could you that I wrote? My father came up and all hell broke loose. So that's how I knew how to raise hell when something was wrong. It's because my father gave me that. And then he gave me the confidence to be able to
say something.
To say something.
You know, and that's I think that the biggest problem that we have now is that these kids don't realize their power. And I say it all the time because I'm like, y'all sit there and y'all can make things trend, y'all can make it go viral, but what are you gonna do after that? Right. And it's always the wrong things. You know, like I said, Black Lives Matter started out good. Now it's like it's died down because it got watered down. But the idea wasn't a bad idea, but it's just now it's to the point where it's watered down, and I'm not even sure. It's
co-optation.
Yes.
And so when you co-opt the origins of Black Lives Matter, I believe had some good intentions.
Absolutely.
But once you start taking money from people that do not have your interest, they control you. And unless you have a plan for that, unless you really strategize and politicize everything that you do and think 10 steps ahead, then you're not going to be able to control the very thing that you created.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm a huge critic of Facebook political culture, of Twitter. People have PhDs in Twitter. They got their master's degree in YouTube and they undergrad in Facebook. And it's a damn shame. Yeah. And it needs to get to a point where we just stop eating whatever they put in front of us because it sounds good, because that is also reactionary.
Absolutely.
Even if you write a 100-page paper about it, that is still a reactionary thing to do, and it gets us nowhere and it tires you out.
Absolutely.
So once everything falls through, then you don't want to fight no more.
Yeah.
Then you don't want to organize anymore.
Right.
So that's a problem right there. And I think that I had to learn that myself.
Yes, I know. Yeah,
out several times.
Because I remember there was a point where you were just like, I'm done. Like I don't even want to do this anymore. And I'm just like, no. You're like your voice is too powerful. You don't want to. But you had to take a step back and kind of rethink it. You know, I think something that was very valuable that you said. You're like, I'd rather have 20 loyal people than 1,000 people that don't care.
Yeah.
And I think that was an incredibly huge statement because you, like I said, you've gone viral. You've had thousands of people in your chest, and you're like, I don't even like I don't want this. This is not what I signed up for. This is not the film that I want. And I've had clients that have gone viral, and I'm like, is this what happens when you go viral? This isn't fair. Like, it's insane the amount of hate that you get. Because I'm like, did we throw the video into a MAGA group? Like, where did all this come from? You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes it does happen.
I swear, I promise you it had
happens.
to, because I'm like, I'm not responding to this no more, because I'm just making it worse.
I think what happened with me was like my really what happened was a huge turning point for me was Kanika Jenkins.
Okay.
And I haven't talked about that in a very long time.
Are you, well, here's the question. Are you comfortable talking about that situation at all, or do you want to completely stay away from it? It's up to you.
No, I think I'm okay with talking about it and discussing what happened, because I think that taught me a huge lesson. At that point in time in my life, everything was changing, you know, and hippie talk, it's called returning to Saturn.
Right.
So I've been returning to Saturn in your late 20s and your early 30s. They say you return to Saturn to become the person who you were meant to be.
Gotcha.
No matter what life in the past took you, you're finally getting back to that point.
Yes.
And what was interesting is I had just turned 30.
Okay.
I had broken up with this guy who I was seeing for a while.
Right.
I had made a trip to New York.
DC, you was going. Yeah, you was traveling. You was all over the place. Mm-hmm.
I'm 30. Underground Wonder Bar had just closed down, and that had been around for almost 30 years. Yep. And so at that point, it was like all of these things were happening all at once. And when Kanika Jenkins was murdered, I had some people that I knew from my childhood who were closely connected to the case. And I saw how they were using this for personal gain. I knew who this person was, and I knew that a lot of people were going to be hurt because of this person. Right. And so I did what I thought was the best thing to do, and was to speak out and say and try to clear up some of the nonsense. But what happened was they flipped it around on me and said that I was the one stealing money. Everything that they were actually doing, they accused me of doing. And so it was my city doing this. It was my city that I had worked for, that I took all these lashes for, that, you know, white supremacist groups, and putting my picture up and my niece's picture up and all this other stuff. They posted my mom's address. They did all these posted my father's picture. It was just incredible. I don't understand lashes that I took. All these beatings that I took. And now you think I'm lying? Right. At the time when and I know maybe this sounds arrogant, but at the time that they needed to listen to me the most, absolutely. At the time they needed to listen to me the most, absolutely, they weren't hearing me. Mm-hmm. And they were falling back on this religious dogma. Oh, if you're not with this, then you're the devil. Yes. Oh, if you're not, they didn't really want the truth. They wanted sensationalized stories. So after that, my Facebook page got deleted. I had like almost 100,000 followers on there. That got deleted because I had this rain of freaking craziness come on. But at the same time, the very day all of that hit the head, I met my boyfriend. Oh, wow. And when I tell you, like, I don't know what's up in the sky, and I'm not going to claim to know. But I do know that was the turning point. That was fate. Yeah. That I needed him in that moment. I need him to this day because he keeps me calm. He's the very. You can tell your whole personality's changed because of him. You can tell your whole energy has changed because of him. Energy has changed. Your energy is completely changed, and I love it. Like I love the way that the dynamics that you both have together. I love the fact that you both are like, no, we don't, like, you're like I'm not getting control. Like we're working together on this. That's a big thing. You know, I think for me, my thing was like. My biggest thing about the situation was because somebody asked me to go down there, you know, when they were doing protests, and I was like, some just don't seem right. I don't know what it is, but some just don't seem right. Now I feel like going to jail. So I'm like, nah. I'm like, no. I hadn't had this conversation when we had, what was it? Occupy Chicago, because they kept on going to jail, and I was like, y'all keep on going to jail. I don't have jail bail money, so y'all keep on breaking the law. We just not gonna talk to y'all. I got locked up with Occupy Chicago too. I think I met you possibly. Probably. Because there wasn't many black girls in there. Let's start begging. So possibly. Listen, that's a whole nother show. Lord, I was like,
I was like, there's not many Black people leading this. I'm confused by this situation because we're getting affected by this the most. But y'all are the ones that are getting the credit all up in the camera. Okay. Mm-hmm.
But so I had the same mentality. I'm like, I'm not going to that protest. I'm not going. Yeah. So there's a story that's going around that they said that I went to the protest, that I attacked Jedediah Brown, that I did this, and I never went to the protest.
Right.
I was never there. I will say they confused me for somebody else. But the fact that they confused me for somebody else had no proof, but we're just going with this narrative.
And that's the problem, because they was lying, and they're lying all over the internet, and it's like, but I didn't do that. What do you mean?
That never happened. A lot of this stuff that's going around literally never happened. So you asked me before, how do I feel about the being seen and being popular or having a lot of viewers? That part freaking sucks. Because I've never been lied on so much in my life.
Man.
But so I went down there to bail somebody out of jail.
Right.
I went and took my money to bail someone out of jail.
Right.
When I got there was a group of people who were pushing forth the lies.
Right.
They tried to jump me out in the parking lot.
Wow.
But I'm that one.
Right.
And I will, and I'm going to keep it to a minimum.
I got you. Of course.
Facebook.
And YouTube.
But I'm that person, and I go in my car.
Right. Right. I got you.
So I went
to prevent that situation.
The person out of jail. I'm going to leave her name out of it as,
I got you.
respect.
Of course. Absolutely.
Because she's still dealing with
that same mess?
The ramifications of what happened.
Wow.
And how all of that got tied in. But long story short, that was a turning point, and it allowed me to see that no matter if you're doing the right thing for the right reason at the right time, it can still have negative results.
Yes.
So now I have to plan and plot for that. Yes. Now I have to be prepared for that. And so that's why I think Chris is very, very beneficial to me as a comrade, not just as a lover or a friend, right. As a comrade in this liberation struggle. He taught me patience and how to plot and strategize, yes. And to not be so reactionary. So it's a constant fight. Yeah. You just got to keep it going.
You know, and I applaud you, because a lot of people would have been like, I'm done, like I can't do this, and you have kept it going. Because I'm like, you said Chanya Fox's name, and I'm like, who are y'all? What is wrong? Have you talked to the girl? Oh my God, are you just going off of what YouTube said? Because you didn't even talk to the child. Like, but I'm like, people made their whole careers off of bashing you, and I'm just like, I'm going down the thing, and I'm like, wow, I ain't never seen you in a chat.
Isn't it funny? People get their most views talking stuff.
Man. but lying though.
Right? So what's funny is, so that whole thing happened, and it did teach me a whole lot. But I think that at this point now, it's going back to what I was saying. You can't be upset at everything. You can't have this visceral response to everything, but it's really taught me to plot and strategize and plan. Yeah. And that's basically, what I'm doing.
And that's what you've been doing. So we have issues with the radio, but we will have the song up next week for sure, because I don't know what they're doing over here. I ain't got time, child. I ain't got time. But so what is going on with the new music? Are you looking to release the full album? Or are you just doing an EP? Like, what are your plans with your music? Because your vocals are on point. It's like,
thank you so much.
Because because you don't really seem like you don't do lives. You don't do like lives where you just sing what you need to start doing karaoke, all that fun stuff. I think that would kind of kind of soften up the image, because there's a misconception. Like I'm like she's not always angry. I've met her in person. I don't think you understand. I really know how she is. Like, stop being mean to her. Like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, what is wrong with y'all? She's a beautiful person.
That's what I was gonna say. Anytime that you fight for Black people, you will be everybody's enemy, including Black people.
Oh,
if I don't want
baby.
to, I have no intentions on exploiting Black people. Now, that's not to say I don't want to make money, that I don't want to be okay, that I don't want to be able to take care of my family, my future children.
Yes.
That's not to say that, but I don't want to do it at the cost of hurting somebody else.
Right.
But when you have that exploitative angle to you, more people are willing to support you for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you read or look at there's a documentary that we just watched. I think it was called In the Wild or something like that, with Martin Luther King, and you saw. Like, everybody wants to bring up Martin Luther King, and they want to talk about how peaceful he was,
but they don't want to talk about why he got killed.
But he was still murdered. Exactly.
Yes.
The reason why he got killed is because nobody had his back. That was the problem. Because nobody was loyal to the liberation of Black people. Yes. That's why. So when he was doing what he was doing, he was sounding crazy. Or you sound crazy. Mm-hmm. Or you sound, everybody wants to talk about and I don't want to offend any of your viewers, but when we talk about the church and him being in the church, everything Martin Luther King did was in spite of the church. It wasn't because of the church.
Yes.
He was, they abandoned him.
Yes.
Abandoned him. When he came to Chicago, they abandoned him.
Yeah, he had
never seen as much hatred and ferocity, even from Black people.
Yes.
So the people who should have been protecting him the most dropped the ball. That's why he was murdered. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Malcolm X. Same thing with anybody else that fights for Black people.
Absolutely.
You are going to be so if you cannot take that, if you can't deal with it, then you should probably not be in public or be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And it's still something that I'm questioning and going through. I told Chris he needs to be the celebrity, and I go work in the back in the court because listen, he'll be fine with it. But and along with that, the music. So I am releasing an EP, and I'm also writing a book. And
she'll be back on to talk about that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I will.
Yes.
Awesome. So later on, I'm going to be doing an EP. I haven't decided. I think 5 songs, maybe 6 songs.
Nice.
The songs that I sent to you, I may not even use those.
Okay.
Because I have so many.
Just let me know.
And I'm currently doing some things, but I don't know if I can even say the name of the book, but it's Bitter Black Bee.
Right. Okay? Yes.
And so that is looking to be available for pre-sale in October.
Awesome.
And be released in November.
Awesome.
Untitled EP. I've got so many songs and so many things
going
through my head. So there's that. But and I also have a book club.
Yes.
We're going to be going through some radical changes very soon.
Okay.
But it's called Nubians for Literacy. We actually meet in Hyde Park every week.
I thought I knew that. I thought that location.
Yeah. We actually we were in the Polsky Center, but we have changed locations.
Okay.
So you can look for Nubians for Literacy. There's a Facebook group that you can find all the information and the location and the address and things like that. But we meet in Hyde Park every week. Okay. And what we are doing is creating a culture of political education. And not just let me look at my phone and get mad at this video. Oh, I'm so mad. And then put the phone down and go eat McDonald's somewhere.
Right.
So that does nothing. So what we want to do is create a consistent line of resistance.
Right.
And we have to be educated in order to do that.
Absolutely.
So that's what Nubians for Literacy is for. We got brother Diallo Kenyatta.
Yes.
And of course, Chris Marshall. And it's been really good. We've had Rachel. They ran for alderman, I believe, of the 20th ward.
Okay.
They've been coming.
Oh, okay.
And so it's been really cool.
Lakina, can you go grab my gas? Thank you. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing.
It's been working out pretty well. So I think what's happening now, to be perfectly honest, with the climate all over the country, with all of this Pan-Africanism versus ADOS versus
which I still don't understand. Hey,
FBA and all this other stuff. We're getting to the point where we have to chill out.
Yeah, we do, because we don't want to. We ain't trying to go to jail and all them things.
And if you notice, like all these personalities on YouTube and Facebook, they really don't have anything to talk about anymore except for fighting each other.
Which is really weird, because there's so much that's going on. There's so much content out there.
But when you don't read, there's only a certain point that you can go to. When you don't study what you say your craft is, there's only a certain point that you can go to.
Right. Oh my God.
So when we have like the book club, when we have these, we're reading right now, we're reading Class Struggle in Africa by Kwame Nkrumah. That is not easy. That is not Zane. Okay. That is some really difficult work.
Yeah.
But when you read it, whoo,
exactly,
you really start to understand what's happening.
Yep.
So then you can effectively fight.
Do you love American music? Have you ever heard of The Turkey Fought Back, Twerking with a Twang, or A Song About Us? Danaya Azure Radio is now sponsored by UncleRhino.com. You can check out all of these incredible international hits and grab some phenomenal merch at www.UncleRhino.com. They have gear for the entire family. T-shirts, hoodies, koozies, travel mugs, mouse pads, and so much more. That's www.UncleRhino.com. Tell them Danaya Azure sent you.